Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's 10 o'clock on the dot, which means it's time for Cold Night Chats. It is March 11th, 2024, and it's currently 61 degrees and stagnant, no wind. Anyway, it's been a little while, I guess. Well, maybe a couple weeks, I guess. It's getting warmer, that's for sure. Getting closer to summer. The overnight low has been like 70 degrees, and the high has been like 90 for the last bunch of days. So, almost summer. So now tonight is finally, it's going into the 50s. The high was around like 80. Tomorrow I think the high will be like 75, and that's the coolest day. And then it gradually goes back up. So yeah, enjoying the last waves while we got them. So what else? It's daylight savings time now. It's the first week of daylight savings. It feels interesting for sure, being light out till like 8:30 now, or 8 o'clock, light out till 8 o'clock, because it was light out till 7, and now it's 8. So I mean, that's great for me, knocking doors. I can knock doors up until 8 o'clock and have it still be light out. That's crazy to me how like people would rather me knock on their door at 8:30 p.m. in the summer than at 6:30 in the winter, just because it's 6:30 in the winter, it's dark. It's like, people are really scared of the dark? Like, I would think it'd be a time thing, It's like, how are you going to tell me that it's too late at 6:30 p.m. when just a few months ago at 8:30, you told me come back later, Aye. But yeah, so that's interesting. So yeah, how am I doing? Well, it's every day is an emotional roller coaster, and I try not to dwell on like negative things. I try not to have a victim mindset at all, or like things are happening to me, or I'm experiencing this or that. It's like, I don't really like the idea of having a like over dramatized perception of my life. But the fact of the matter is that's just how my brain works, whether I like it or not, or for better or worse. And actually, I can picture myself signing up for this, having this kind of perception of things, because I experience the highest highs and the lowest lows. It's the most extreme part of the spectrum, so I can see how I would find that appealing. I'm like, well, I have a limited time to experience this existence, so I want to get the most out of it. And technically, I guess this is getting the most out of it. But a lot of the time, it feels like getting less out of it, because I feel like I can't always immerse myself in whatever experience I'm in, or like really just let go of everything and have fun, because that doesn't really feel like getting the most out of it. But yeah, it'll all make sense eventually. But everything's a trade-off, right? Because that's where the creativity comes from, and the passion and that level of intensity. It's all a package deal, so when it's good, it's great. And people without those issues never experience something that great, so it's all a trade-off. I guess it all balances out in the end. Today was a good day. Definitely a good day. I got 2 LOIs today. I still knocked some doors. I didn't have to, but I did anyway. And it was pretty good. I ran an outreach appointment at 1 o'clock, and then I went to self-gen at like 6 o'clock. And I knocked some doors for like an hour. But yeah, this is finally starting to become like the lifestyle that I was picturing, where I can run. I love running appointments. It feels so good to just show up to these people's houses and be like, hey, I'm Joshua, Solar Pro from Trinity. Like, oh yeah, come on in. Like, such a good feeling. So I worked so hard to get to that point. I fantasized about that for so long, and now I'm living it. And they're not always, the best appointments, or like ones that I would book, for different reasons. But yeah, I know the lifestyle. It's not too bad. But yeah, so been running appointments, and then between appointments I do self-gens. So I still knock doors, but I'm not dependent on knocking doors all day, every day anymore. So that's a really good feeling. But I'm already one of the top 3, or I'm either 3rd or 4th place in the office in terms of production already. And I'm just barely done with my 8-week training. I mean, I'm in my first day, week 10. And I literally just started running leads. And, yeah. So far, I have 9 LOI. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 9. 9 LOIs and 3 closes, but I have 3 more upcoming because I got 2 of them today and I got 1 on Saturday. So the ratio is a little skewed right now. But I have 1 close scheduled for Wednesday, 1 for Thursday, 1 for Friday. So if I close all those, it'll be 9 LOIs and 6 closes. So that's pretty good. Somewhere between 3 and 6, maybe 5 or whatever. But yeah. I still don't really have a lot of money right now, right this second, because it does take a little bit to get going. But I gotta get the numbers first, and then I get the money. Because I don't get paid for LOIs, I only get paid for closes. So, and I get paid the week after, when I get my 50% down. And I haven't closed anything since before I left for Port St. Lucie. My last close was February 22nd, I think. So that was 3 weeks ago, so I already spent that money. So I'm still poor, I guess you could say, for the time being, but very close to being not poor, because if I close all 3 of those back to back to back, that's like $5,000 down, and then another $5,000 when they get installed. And the 3 that I already signed up are getting close to install now, or they're getting installed next month, so that'll be more, so that'll be $10,000. And then, so it's about to start hitting now, but it just takes a little bit to get that momentum going, but at least I can see it. But once it hits my bank account, that'll be a different feeling. But yeah, let's see. So last one I did of these was right before the fair. It was right before I went down for the fair. So I did that. I was in PSL for 10 days, and I gotta say, I think this is the last year that I do all 10 days. It's just it's a little too much, I mean, first of all, I feel like I'm just outgrowing it, because most of the attendees there are like 14 to 16 years old, so it's not really my crowd. And it just wasn't, there's a lot of rides missing and things like that. I mean, the shows were good, and some of the entertainment and stuff. But I don't really do that when I'm there by myself. I don't really enjoy going to fairs and stuff by myself anymore. It's like a theme park maybe once in a while, but not really a fair. I'd have to be with people for it to be enjoyable. And I went with people a few of the days, but whenever I was there by myself, it just I just wasn't really into it. And on top of all that, I was doing this I had this brilliant idea that I was going to use that 10-day window as an opportunity to like detox. So I completely cut all alcohol, marijuana, kratom, like everything when I got down there. See, so that just like set the tone for the whole experience, because I was not happy. It felt weird being in public, and it wasn't enjoyable. I did get high one day at the fair, and I actually made it worse. I just started freaking out and stuff, and I ended up hiding in a porta potty for about an hour until I collected myself. So yeah, that was interesting. So then I didn't do that. I don't think I got high since then, actually. I don't think I had smoked any weed. Well, okay, yeah, I did. I haven't smoked any Delta 8 since then. The Delta 8's really the weird stuff. Like the regular medical grade stuff, I don't usually have any adverse reactions to. But even that, since in the last 3 weeks, I've only smoked once. And it was only because I was over a friend's house, and it was like 4 of us. And yeah, that was fine. But yeah, so I don't really smoke weed much these days. And then alcohol, I drank. I didn't drink at the fair. I only would drink when I got back to the house, like before bed, and that was only like 1, maybe 2 nights out of the 10, so not a lot. And kratom, because what happened was I just ran out of my supply of kratom the day before the fair. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. I'll use my opportunity down there, take a 10-day detox. That way I don't need it anymore when I come back. And the thing is, I was knocking doors while I was down there too, because I wanted, and that's a whole other topic. I wanted to see what the market was like down there, and I naively thought it was going to be a cakewalk because, it's my hometown and it's far away from everything. It's not saturated. There's a lot of good houses, things like that, and it's just not the case. It was actually one of the hardest places I've ever knocked. Nobody cared who I was. I literally went to the street that I grew up on and knocked doors, and was not well received at all. And yeah, they are good houses, and most people speak English. Most of them are homeowners. Most of them can qualify. But that's part of the problem, because there's a lot of solar there already. About like 1 in 5 houses had solar. So it's not like they don't know what it is. But I just think that the companies that do business down there are not good, and it just leaves a bad taste in everyone's mouth, and it's too much of a stigma, rather than places like Orlando that reach a certain level of saturation that goes beyond that, where then you get past the experimental phase of it, where you have good solar companies there, and then people start to, differentiate a little bit. So, but whatever the case may be, to be fair, it's like, since I had limited time down there, I only knocked 4 days, because it's a 2-step process. So if I got an LOI, I'd have to wait like 3 to 5 days to go back and close it. And so I was very mindful of when I was leaving that I wasn't getting any LOIs too close to when I was leaving. So I only knocked the first half of the time that I was down there, and I picked a different spot each day, different part of the city, so I could kind of get, since it was my only opportunity to do that. So I didn't really work a loop system or anything. I only knocked each door once. So, I guess if I were to set up shop there longer term, I may see different results. But just from what I've seen, it was really hard. I got a few appointments, but most of them either canceled beforehand or weren't there when I got there, or just canceled at the door. I only got one LOI, and I wasn't able to close him. He canceled like an hour after I left his house for the LOI, so I didn't even get to go back. But yeah, so that's that. So yeah, I did manage, because I notoriously over the past like year and a half to probably almost 2 years now, I've used Kratom every single day that I was knocking doors, to knock doors. And so when I was down there, I didn't have any. I literally didn't have any with me in the car or at home or anything. So I was very tempted to go to the smoke shop there and get some, but I didn't. And instead I went to Fields, and I was completely sober. I didn't have any weed with me. I didn't have any alcohol or Kratom or anything. And I just knocked doors. And surprisingly, it was the same thing. So, it's not. It just goes to show, like, I'm not dependent on any of that stuff to do my job or live my life. So that's really the point that I wanted to prove to myself. And so it's like, it was the same thing. Like, I was saying the same thing, doing the same thing, processing the same things. The only thing that was different is I just wasn't I wasn't having as much fun, but it's kind of hard to describe like the subtlety of it, because it's not like I was just pissed off talking to people, because I was still like my normal self. Like, how I would talk is still the same, and how I smile and make jokes and stuff like that. But I just mean, like, internally, I was just like bored, kind of. I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. But it, like, not enough for it to take over my expression. It's really hard to describe the subtleties of it, because it's like I was still getting results. I was still getting appointments and things like that. People would still compliment me and whatever. I was still sharp and all that stuff. But it was just more like my internal, like, how I felt about it. And there's really no way for anyone else to know that or process that. So it's all in my mind. So it's like I can still have the same results and get LOIs and get contract. When I did my LOI down there, I was completely sober and everything, and it's the same process, the same reaction from the homeowners and everything. So it's like it doesn't affect my behavior at all or my expression. It's literally just, if I'm having fun or I'm like really into it. But it's really hard to describe how it's like I do the same thing regardless. So I can still have success, but eventually on the fourth day, I broke. I had some Kratom. What happened was I went to this gas station to use the bathroom, and they sold Kratom products in the gas station. What really caught my attention is they actually had these Mitra, these canned drinks. It's like a Kratom seltzer. And I love those things. I get them at kava bars and stuff. So I was like, how much for those? And they're like $10. I'm like, oh, that's actually pretty good. So I was like, well, as long as I'm not like buying a big ass bag of Kratom or anything. Like if I just have one of these cans and I drink it now and then that's it, and I don't have anything on me, yeah, it's a little different. Because like I still go to a kava bar. It's not like I'm cutting it out of my life completely. It's just that I didn't want to possess large quantities of it and bring it with me everywhere I go and always be thinking about it and stuff. It's like, if it's out of sight, out of mind, I just have one now, throw the can away, and then be done with it, So that's what I did. And immediately I felt so much better. And and it's like it was still the same, but it's just I was having more fun. I was more into it. I didn't get any appointments that day, but that's unrelated. That's just because it was just a tough area. But I definitely was in the best mood for that period of time, and then I realized, like, man, you know what? Life's too short to not be in a good mood. Like, if I have the option to feel better, it's like, why not? As long as it's not something that's like self-destructive. But kratom's not a hard drug. It's not. There's really no like side effects, or I mean, unless you like are like really crazy with it. But for the average kratom user or a kava user or whatnot, it's really no downside to it. Like, of all the things you can take, even medications and prescription pharmaceuticals, whatever, like, kratom is like not bad at all. And like, if you can get a similar effect without all the strings attached, like, what's really so bad about that? So that's what I realized, is like, it's not in the same boat as hard drugs or anything. So, because when you think about it, it's, as long as it's not affecting my behavior, my motor skills, my ability to function, things like that, it's like all it does is just make me a little bit happier. Is that ever a bad thing? Is there ever a situation where I would want to be less happy? And it's not even like it makes me like ignorantly happy or anything. Like, I'm still serious, like when I'm doing my presentation, or like I use it to help me work, so it's like I'm still serious, but I'm just more like passionate about it. I'm just like, I care about it more. It's kind of the opposite of I guess something like weed, where it just makes me care about everything less. Kratom's like makes me care about more, but not to the point where I'm obsessing over it or it becomes unhealthy. It's like, it's just the perfect thing for me, of being like, the effects being subtle enough, but also just giving me what I need without anything extra. Because I don't like being overwhelmed. I don't like being out of control. I don't like any of that. I just want, like, really all I want out of life is just to feel good, just to feel a little bit better, and that's it. And still work hard, and still, go through adversity and all that, but just feel okay, not just feel like, honestly, I feel more in control of my mind when I'm on kratom. So otherwise, like, I'm not in control of my thoughts, and I think long term, I can get over that through meditation and through proper diet and nutrition, exercise, sleep, things like that. I really do. I believe that it's not a death sentence or anything. Like, I can definitely rein it in, but I don't think it ever completely goes away 100%. I think it's just a part of my DNA and my brain chemistry. But I do think that there are ways to definitely limit its effects so that it doesn't take over my life, But I just think right now I'm not really in a position financially and with time. Well, more so with money, really. That's the main problem, is I just don't have any money right now. If I had money, then I can afford to eat only the best quality foods. I can afford to invest in things that are, investments for self-improvement and things like that. But when I don't have any fucking money, I'm just trying to survive. I'm just eating whatever I can, and just trying to trying to make do with what little I have, and that's how I've lived for my whole life. I'm trying to think. The most money I've ever had in the bank at one time, I think, was $3,600, and at the time that was like mind blowing. I didn't know what to do with that much money, but I think that was only because I needed it. I was like about to buy a car, or I was about to do something where I needed that much money, so it wasn't like spending money. But I've never really had like more than a couple hundred of spending money. Like, I've always been in debt. Ever since I've lived alone, I've been in debt. And I never really get out of it. Like, I would make progress towards it, and then I have another setback. And, I never really got out of it. And that's why I was chasing this promotion. So that way I can make more money. And so far it's working. It's, you just gotta be patient for the results, because it's not an overnight thing. But, I'm planting those seeds now, and when I reap the harvest, it's gonna change everything. But, I don't obsess over money. I'm not a materialistic person. Money is not a cosmic currency. It's only relevant to earthly things, and all you can buy with it is distractions. Like, yeah, that's true. I don't need to be rich. I don't need fancy things. I don't care about having a nice house and nice car and nice clothes. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I just want to have enough money to survive and not have to worry about where my next meal's coming from, or, my car getting declined or whatever. It's like, I just want to just have enough. I don't want too much. I just want to have enough. That's it. It's the same thing with being high. It's like, I don't need to get all fucked up all the time and stuff. It's like, I just want a little bit. I just want to relax. Just want to feel a little bit better. That's it. It's like, once I get to that point, I'm good. I don't want any more. It's okay. So that's just the type of person I am. And even the same thing with even the same thing with eating now is, like, as a kid, up until recently, actually, I loved eating. I still like eating, of course, but it's like I would just eat as much food as I could and stuff myself until I couldn't possibly eat anymore. And I would never turn down food, especially like free food, or, it's being offered to me, or that, I get a chance to get extra food or whatever. Like, I would just load up and gorge and just a straight up glutton. And now it's like the concept of overeating disgusts me. Even at the fair this year, which, like, one of the things that's been notorious for is just eat as much as you possibly can, because there's so much food and there's a bunch of different unique stuff. And this year it's like I got maybe like 2 items each of the days I was there, and that was it. Because I don't have a desire to overindulge. It's just not appealing to me. It's just like, it's just too many calories, and I'm going to gain weight. It's going to take me a week to lose that, and, I just feel like, shitty afterwards, and I just don't, it's not worth it, I don't even want it to begin with, and then if I eat it, then I'm just going to regret it even more. So I don't even, I eat about half as much as I used to. I eat until I'm comfortable, until I'm not hungry anymore, and then I stop. Even if there's more left, even if I already made more, it's like I'll put it in the fridge, I'll save, I'll take it to go. So that's another thing that's a notable change about me that I think is a good thing. It's just more self-control, really. But it's not even control, because it's like I don't feel... It's not like I'm holding back the urge to consume more. It's like I don't want to consume more. I used to in the past, and now I don't. So that's a change in the mind, I guess, or whatever it is. But yeah. So yeah, that was one of my New Year's resolutions, is to take control of my addictions. And I probably was addicted to kratom. Like, I've been like right on the border of being addicted to it for a long time. And now I think I'm in like a good place where, I shook hands with it and made peace with it. And now I use it because I choose to, not because I feel like I have to, or, like I don't wake up with withdrawal or anything and, need it to survive. But it just makes things a little bit better, like if I'm going to the gym or I'm going to work or, I'm cleaning my house or something, it's like, it just makes it a little bit better. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's like, the important thing that separates addiction to me is like being able to function the same without it. And that's the point where like I refuse to let anything control me to that extent where I become a slave to it and I'm just living for my next fix, So I was never to that point with Kratom, and I never will be. And that's, I guess, the closest thing to an addiction I've had. I've never been addicted to alcohol. In fact, I actually just had an unpleasant experience with it a couple nights ago. It was the same night that I smoked weed, too. It was the only time since I've been back, and it's the only time I've been drunk in the last 2 weeks. Because normally, my average night is I'll have 2 beers before bed in my apartment, and that's it. So I go through a 12-pack over a week. And I know people that drink that in a day or 2 days, But that's a week for me. It's 12-pack of beer, and that's it. I very rarely drink liquor by myself. I'll maybe have 1 shot, or a particularly rare occasion, I'll double 2 shots. Maybe once a week on average in place of the beer. And that's it. So I'm not a heavy drinker or anything. And again, that's just to like help me relax. Like there's plenty of nights where I'm already tired enough and I just go right to sleep. I don't need anything. But so the only time that I drink more than that is if I'm in a public venue, like surrounded by a group of people that are all drinking heavily. Like that's the only time. So, and that's rare for me because I don't really like participate in public social activities or not even public, but just social activities. Not really, I just kind of do my own thing. I work and I go home and I'm by myself, and that's pretty much it. And then the people I do hang out with aren't really partiers. It'll either be my family or Brad, who is straight edge, or like it's a couple other people, but it's just never really those kind of circumstances. So it's very rare for me to like drink heavily. But yeah, so I just happened to, I guess Saturday night, my former boss from Outreach, I could say his name's Chai, and we pretty much hit it off since he moved down here from Massachusetts, and you say I was the first friend he made in Florida. So we've been hanging out, ever since I've known him, and we continue to hang out even after I transferred to Direct because, we never really like talked about work when we hung out anyway. So there's really nothing different, and we live like 7 minutes from each other. So, so that's why it's easy for us to just hang out, and I'll go over there, he'll come over here or whatever, and usually we'll smoke some weed because he's got connections from Massachusetts. So I've never bought weed from him or anything. I don't buy weed from anyone actually, but it's just kind of like if he has a joint and he passes it to me, I'll take a hit. Like that's pretty much how it works. But we drink sometimes. Like different places that we go in public kind of feels it out because I'm still technically under 21 until next month, actually, so that's another milestone. But, like, you know, he'll order a drink and then we'll see if the server cards him or not, and because he's only like 24, and if they don't card him, then I'll order one, and that's usually how we do it. But if they card him, then I'll just get water, so it's like sometimes it's like hit or miss. But I don't usually like get drunk in public because the number one thing is it's too expensive. A drink's like $12, so it's either that or get an entree, you know what I mean? So, and it's like I'll get one usually. But yeah, so he invited me over to his place, and he was having a few other people over there. He's like, hey, I want you to meet so and so and whoever, and we're all gonna hang out and watch what I guess it was like a sports event or something. I don't know nothing about sports, but I was just like, yeah, sure. I don't have plans tonight. It was Saturday night, so Saturdays I'm usually done with work by like 5 o'clock, and because I'm out there since 9 a.m. and 5 o'clock is too early to just go to bed. So I was like, yeah, sure. I'll come over and hang out with you guys. And the first thing he says as soon as I walk in, here, have a drink. Yeah, all right. So I had one. It's like, okay, yeah, that's cool. And as soon as I finish it, oh yeah, I have another one. So I think you can see where this is going. But I ended up just drinking way too much, and I passed out on his couch. And it wasn't very dignified. I was probably like mouth open, snoring, drooling everywhere, like that. I had stains all over my shirt and stuff, and it's, yeah, so not the most graceful experience. But I ended up waking up at like 4 a.m. and everyone was gone. It was dark. Chai had already went to bed, and I was just there on the couch, and just a massive headache, and I was just dehydrated, but I was still like a little bit buzzed. But I just found my way to the door and got in my car and drove home. I was probably under the legal limit by then because I had stopped drinking at like 1 o'clock probably. I passed out, so it had been like 3 hours since I had any alcohol. And it's only a 5-minute drive, and it's the middle of the night, so there's no cars on the road. But so then I got home and just immediately went to sleep, and then I kept waking up at like 6-7 a.m. because I was actually I was so hungover and like in so much pain that I was preventing me from sleeping. Like the headache was so strong mostly that I just couldn't sleep, and I knew sleep is what I needed. And the worst part is I was actually supposed to be working in Home Depot the next day because Sunday is my day in Home Depot, and I actually had to call out for the very first time ever because I never call out even if I'm sick. I went in with the flu still, but this was just not something that I'm used to, because I've had maybe 3 hangovers in my whole life, and I've drank heavily. Like I've had probably a dozen nights of heavy drinking that I can think of, and I usually don't have hangovers. So I guess it's just a very special circumstance or whatever. But but yeah, so I had to text my boss like, hey, I'm not feeling well today, I'm not able to make it to Home Depot. I didn't elaborate. I'm not like, hey, I'm hungover because I drank too much last night. It's just like, I'm sick, I don't feel well, I can't make it. It's just like, oh, no worries, feel better soon. So but over the course of 8 hours I probably slept 3, and the rest of the time I was just up trying to go to sleep but just being in too much pain. And I refused to take any painkillers or sleeping pills or anything, because by that point all I wanted to do was just detox. I didn't want to add anything else because like my liver hurt. I could feel it. I was like, I don't want to stress my body out anymore. So I drank plenty of water, and that's all I consumed. I did eat a little bit. I had a little bit because that helps usually. But all day Sunday, it was not good. is not good. So I actually ended up having some kratom. First of all, I had a bunch of coffee when I finally did get out of bed because it was like 11 a.m. So I was like, well, I can't try to sleep anymore. So I had a bunch of coffee. I was hoping that would help. It didn't really help that much. So then I tried making some food, and that didn't really help it that much. So then I had some kratom, and that helped more than the coffee or the food. But I was definitely still hungover. So I had already called out of Home Depot at that point, but I also had plans to have dinner with Brad because it's actually his birthday. So, and that was late enough in the day that, it was far enough into it that it was starting to wear off a little bit. And that was like 6 p.m. So I was still a little bit hungover when I met with him, but it wasn't like too bad. And then by the time I got home, I started to feel okay at 9, 10 o'clock. And, needless to say, I didn't drink anything that night. I just went to sleep. I didn't even take melatonin or anything. I just fell asleep naturally at like midnight probably, even though I slept until 11 a.m. just because I was so sleep deprived that my body needed to sleep. And so that was yesterday. Sunday was yesterday because today's Monday. So I got up today at 9 a.m. and I was finally like back to normal pretty much. So I'm not really in a rush to repeat that anytime soon. We do have the gala coming up this weekend, Saturday. I actually just bought my flight for it. Saturday at 7:15 a.m. I'm flying out of Orlando International, which is right here. And I'm coming back Sunday at 11:30 p.m. So I get 2 full days, Saturday and Sunday. And so, it's the gala. It's a once a year event. It's, it's the time. It's a mingler. It's the time everybody goes hard. So I'm going to be there with Tyson and Jarrell and Chai and Will and everybody. So it's like, you got to drink at the gala. It's like mandatory, But now, after this past experience, I'll probably be more cautious. I'm not going to get like blackout blitzed, But I'll probably have a couple drinks, but nothing too crazy. So it's not like I'm giving up alcohol completely, but yesterday I definitely did not have a positive, didn't have anything nice to say about it. But yeah, so that's where I stand with that. Because overall, it's stupid, man. It's not worth it. It's like just act like an asshole for like 2 hours and then you pass out, embarrass yourself, and you just feel like shit the next day. It's like, it's not a fun life to live, So, I don't know. I think that there's different levels of it for sure. It's like, having a beer is different from having 10 mixed drinks, It's different. It is different situations. It's not like all alcohol is bad all the time. I mean, I guess technically it is, like, from a medical standpoint, because it's not, like, it's poison, basically. That's what the feeling of being drunk is your body, like, naturally releasing, pain chemicals or whatever to come back, because it thinks you're dying or whatever. I remember seeing an essay about something like that. But, it's not like you're not going to die from just having a little bit of alcohol occasionally. But I'm just not really a fan of the whole culture, Just like I'm not a fan of weed culture either. It's like, I think like marijuana itself is harmless. Like it's not malicious, but I think a lot of people abuse it. And when it becomes a lifestyle, the wake and bake lifestyle or whatever, is just, I just can't get into that. I mean, a lot of people do, and I guess that's cool if they're functional and, they're living a good, healthy life, but it's definitely not for me. I would never want to be high 24/7. It's just not appealing to me. But like and come to think of it, I've never really gone out of my way to like get weed. Like I've never bought weed from a dealer or anything. Like all the times that I've smoked weed is just because like someone offered it to me. You know, it happens to be in my immediate area. The only exception, like the only time I've possessed weed is from the Delta 8 smoke shops in the pens, you know. That's it. And even that, like, I don't touch it most of the time. Like, I've probably averaged, like, since I've been an adult, you know, with access to smoke shops over the last, like, 3 years, I've probably averaged, like, one hit every, I'll say, well, one hit every week, I'll say. Because maybe I'll take 2 hits in 2 weeks, you know. That's probably been my average. And there's been like entire months where I don't touch it at all. So I'm definitely not addicted to that. It's like even when I do, I don't like greening out. I don't like getting super high. It's just not fun after a certain point. Usually after 2 hits, I'm good. You know, I don't want any more than that, and it gets too much. You know, so I do live a life of moderation. That's what I would say. But anyway, should probably start wrapping this up. But yeah, what else can I say? Yeah, work's going pretty good. We're starting to get it going now. I'm getting, recognition and shouted out and stuff. I got to knock with the VP of the whole company. Surprised me by showing up this last week and shadowing me, and I gotta say I was actually really nervous. So I called Tyson when I was on my way to the field, and he was like, "Oh, don't be nervous. He's just like me. He's cool. Just be yourself." Are you sure? All right. So I did, and he was actually really impressed. He was like, "Wow, I've never seen someone with your level of enthusiasm and work ethic and all of that." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's because of where I come from, so." And he's like, "Well, we definitely could use more of that in the office." So he's got big plans for me. But he did still give me a few little tips as well that I've been implementing ever since. So work's going good. Socially, I mean, the fair isn't really a fair test because they're all underage, So what do you want me to do? You know what I mean? It's just kind of one thing I failed to account for. Since I've been back, I haven't really been in many social situations, but whenever I am, like, I always I'm aware now to never be weird or never be like in my head or anything. Like, I'm not afraid of people. I'm not afraid of, whatever. It's like, yeah, just like participate, just be present, say something, engage, whatever. So I think that's gotten better. I'm still single. I think right now my main priority is just like getting stabilized, having like some money, and I want to get FL Studio before I get a girlfriend. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my priorities is I gotta be stable first and then reach out rather than, because I know how it is. I've seen it too many times. It's like, I'm not gonna, I don't think it should be like a codependency kind of situation. I think like we should both be independently functional people that just enjoy being in each other's presence and, are better when we're together, but we don't fall apart when we're by ourselves. You know what I mean? I think that's a healthy relationship. So yeah. So, and plus I'm going to be 21 next month. So then I can, it's just whatever. I can go to clubs, bars, mixers, events, whatever. I probably won't get too deep into that, but, occasionally here or there, whatever. Like I said, I live a life of moderation, so I do a little bit of everything. And I think I said this in a previous episode, but I think moderation takes more discipline than absence. You know, like to not do any drugs at all is like, yeah, that takes discipline, but after a while you kind of forget about them, your brain does, at least. Like, you stop craving them, and then from there on, it is what it is. But to just do a little bit sometimes, I think that takes even more self-control, because once that little bit of dopamine hits your brain and you instinctually you just want more, and then you don't do that, I think that takes much more. I think that's much more impressive than just avoiding it altogether. So that's my take on that, and that goes for anything in life. But anyway, I got 2 minutes on here of storage, and my battery's at 4%, so I gotta stop rambling here. But hopefully I'll be able to do another one of these soon, because there is still some other stuff I want to talk about, and of course things happen every day. But it's definitely warming up, so I might just have to switch to life updates or whatever I call them. But in any case, thanks for listening to this. I encourage you to leave comments and stuff like that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.